All right, guys, it is time for social studies. And today we are learning some more about regions. So while I'm talking, I want you to be thinking about your two favorite regions. So there's 4 regions. Remember, if we do our little Texas hand, we have the mountains and basins, we have the Great Plains, we have the North Central Plains, and we have the coastal plains. So I want you to be thinking about what are your 2 favorite, because you're going to have to compare and contrast them at the end of this. Ooh. Okay, so we talked about this. There are 4 regions, mountains and basins, Great Plains, the North Central Plains, and the coastal plains. Each of these 4 regions is unique, and each region has their own characteristics. So we have the Great Plains, is the one we're going to talk about now. It's a mostly flat, grassy land. There are not very many trees in the Great Plains. It's just flat. It's also known as the Llano Estacado or the Staked Plains. It's a high, flat plateau. So running through the Great Plains, you'll see the Red River, the Pecos River, the Brazos River. They all run through that Great Plains, and it is green on the map. Located in the panhandle of Texas, and it is located in the panhandle of Texas, sorry you guys, and then it reaches all the way down south to the Rio Grande. It is home to the Palo Duro Canyon and Caprock Canyons State Parks. These canyons, a canyon is when it goes like this, and the canyon's right here. It was caused by water, so continuous movement. The river just kept going, and it created a canyon. It's at the Great Plains of Texas are the southern tip of the Great Plains of the United States. So the United States has regions as well, and this part of the Great Plains is the very tip of the United States. So some cities that are in the Great Plains are Abilene, Lubbock, Odessa, Amarillo, if you've ever heard of any of those. Some animals that you can find in the Great Plains are prairie dogs, hawks, horned owls, rattlesnakes, deers, badgers, and some vegetation, which is like plants. You can find cottonwood, sugarberry bush, coral, and honeysuckle. Now we're going to talk about the mountains and basins region. These are wide open spaces with rugged plateaus. They have desert mountains. This also has Big Bend National Park. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Big Bend National Park. It got its name from the Big Bend of the Rio Grande along the Texas border, so the big turn in the Rio Grande. This region is mostly desert. It can be super cold at night, but it's mainly just extremely hot during the day. This is the only place that you're going to find mountains in Texas. It is the westernmost part of Texas from the New Mexico border in the north to the Rio Grande in the south. These are the southern tip of the Rocky Mountains. And some cities you'll find here are El Paso, Big Bend, Marfa, and Alpine, if you've ever been there. This is a big one that you hear all the time, El Paso. So you're going to find antelope here, mountain lions, roadrunners, if you've ever seen that old cartoon, horned lizards, and a javelina. Some vegetation, some plants you'll find is yucca and prickly pear cactus. Those are in the mountains basins because it's a desert region. You have to find different animal and plant life that will adapt to that kind of climate. So let's talk about these central plains. Remember, the North Central Plains are right here on your hand. This is home to Texas Hill Country. The Hill Country was considered a holy place by the Native Americans that lived there. It mainly has rolling hills, which is just a bunch of small. It's not a mountain, but it's not flat. It just has some hills. You can also find some springs here. So in the Central Plains, there are a ton of aquifers. Can y'all say that? Aquifer. It's a cool word to me. Which is an underground water collection. this is home to many cedar trees. So it's mainly grassy, but it has some cedar trees. And in the central part of this region, there are large dome-shaped granite uprising, like right in the middle. The largest is Enchanted Rock. And if you've ever been to Enchanted Rock, I would love to hear about it. Raise your hand. You've been to Enchanted Rock. It's not too far out of here. Mr. Simpson and I almost went there, but you have to have a pass to go in. So also, dinosaurs lived in this region. There have been fossils found from 17 different types of dinosaurs. I don't know if you've been to the Dinosaur Valley State Park. It's pretty close to us, and you can see some dinosaur prints. So cool. Y'all should look that up. There are small patches of wooded lands that are scattered throughout the Central Plains. These woods have given the region the nickname cross timbers because the woods cross the prairie. Kind of like one of the schools here in Azle, cross timbers. The soil here is very rich and fertile. Remember yesterday we talked about how we have a lot of farming going on, and if we just drive around, we can see so many different kinds of farms. I see a lot of corn normally. So like I said, cities in the Central Plains: Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Fredericksburg, and Kerrville. We live in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're very close to that, so we are in the Central Plains. So some animals you can find are salamanders, white-tailed deer. Guys, we see deer everywhere around here. I mean, I know you know, if you live out here in the country, which is around here at Silver Creek, there are deer everywhere. I'm surprised if you don't see them in your front yard. The 9-banded armadillo. Raise your hand if you've ever seen an armadillo. I think those are pretty cool. Also, we see pecan trees. We have a ton of pecan trees and cedar trees. All right, now we're going to talk about the coastal plains. They begin at the beaches of the Gulf Coast and stretch west into the grassy plains. So near the coast, you can find barrier islands, marshes, estuaries, and bays. The area of East Texas within the coastal plains is like crazy dense pine forest right over here. Many of those areas are wet bottomlands along rivers, and other parts are super dry and covered with thorny brush. So some parts are wet, bottomless, disgusting, and then some of it's super dry and has thorny brush all over it. So some animals you can find in the coastal plains are cottonmouth snakes. Those are scary and very dangerous. I've seen some here, as a matter of fact. Squirrels, we see squirrels here. Rabbits, possums, deer. Ooh, we see a lot of that here too. So some vegetation we can find in the coastal plains are elm, mesquite, ash, pine, and citrus trees. The coastal plains are Texas's largest region. As you can see, if you're looking here, it's the biggest part. It's blue. Some cities that you're going to find in the central plains or the coastal plains are Houston, Galveston, Corpus Christi, Brownsville, Beaumont. So if you've ever been to Galveston or Houston or Corpus Christi, I have. It's very wet. Like Corpus Christi is the kind of like very wet. It's not necessarily dry because it's over close to the ocean. But if you get into some other parts, it's super dry and just super brushy. Okay, so can you name the 4 regions of Texas? So how we remember that is we do our hand. We know this is the mountains and basins. This is the Great Plains, the North Central Plains, and the Coastal Plains because it's along the coast. What region do you live in? We talked about it. Waiting. If you said Central Plains, you are correct. What region would you most like to visit out of the whole entire one? What would you like to visit? I think I would like to visit mountains and basins. That would be my one that I want to see. Why? I don't know, but I think that would be the best one. I like mountains a lot. All right, guys, so what you're going to do now for your assignment is we just talked a lot about all 4 regions. And I do this just to give you a visual of 4 regions of the of Texas. So what you're going to do now is you're going to get out a piece of notebook paper and you're going to draw a Venn diagram. This is a graphic organizer we are going to use a lot this year. This is how we compare and contrast things. So in a Venn diagram, on the outside, you put things that about these two topics that are different. And in the middle is where you put things that are the same. So you're going to pick your two favorite regions. So mine, I'm going to do where we live because I think it'd be nice to know about that. I'm going to pick Central Plains, and I'm going to pick the one that I want to visit, which is mountains and basins. Ooh. And I'm going to write my title above the two circles, just like this. And now I'm going to go back through this PowerPoint, or I'm going to listen to Miss Simpson talk again. I'm also going to link the PowerPoint below so you can open it up and look through it. But I'm going to find things that are the same, which goes in this tiny middle section. I'm going to find things that are the same about these two regions. I would like for you to find 3 things that are similar. I want you to compare them in that way. And then I want you to give me 3 facts for both. I want you to give me 3 facts that aren't the same, that are different, of the one you choose over here and the one you choose over here. So all together you should have 3, 6, 9 facts written down. So remember, you're going to pick 2 of your favorite regions and write their names at the top. And then on this side, you're going to write 3 facts about whatever this one is. And this side, you're going to write 3 facts about whatever this one is that you chose. And then in the middle, you're going to write 3 things that are the same of both central and mountains and basins. And if you think, man, I'm having some trouble, I don't really know what to do, you are welcome to do some more research on the regions of Texas. I will say, do not copy down word for word from Google. Repeat after me. Say it with me, guys. Do not copy anything from Google. If you copy something word for word from Google, that is called plagiarism. And that means you took somebody else's word and pretended like they were your own. So do not write word for word. You can sum it up, but do not write word for word from Google, because that's just kind of a lot. So give me your 9 facts, and then I want you to take a picture, and I want you to upload it to Canvas. If you have any questions, please hop on Google Meets. Bye, you guys. I hope you loved learning about the regions of Texas.